Dhavakara Kamalavare Nakamarbuta Shingam Dhalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Jalayasi Vikramane Balim Adbhuta Vamana Varanakkanir Janita Janapavana Keshavadrita Vamana Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare
Chalayasi Vikramane Balim Adbhuta
Vamana Padanaka Nirajanita Janapavana
Keshavadrita Vamana Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare
Kshatriya Rudhiramaye Jagarapagata Papam Snapayasi Payasi Shamita Bhavatapam Keshavadrita Bhrigupati Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jagarapagata Papam Napayasi Payasi Shamita
Bhavatapam Keshavadrita Bhrigupati Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare
Vitarasi Dikshurane Dikpati Kamaniyam Dashamukkamolibalim Ramaniyam Keshavadrita Rama Sharira Jai Jagadish Hare
Vitarasi Dikshurane Dikpati Kamaniyam Dashamukkamolibalim Ramaniyam
Bolo
Keshavadrita Rama Sharira Jai Jagadish Hare
Bahasi Vipusha Vishadevasanam Jaladabam Allahati Biti Malita Yamunabam Keshavadrita Aladhara Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare
Vahasiva Pushi Vishadeva Sanam Jaladabam Halahati Viti Milita Yamunabam Keshavadrita Haladara Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare
Nindasi Yagya Vidheraha Shruti Jatam Saddaya Hridaya Dashita पशुगातम् केशवधृता बुध शरीरा जय जगदीश हरे
निन्दसि यज्ञ विद्या आहा श्रुति जातं सदय हृदय दर्शिता पशुगातम् केशवधृता बुध शरीरा जय जगदीश हरे
म्लेच्छनिह्वा निधने कलयसि किरवालम् धूमकेतुमिव किमपि करालम् केशवधृता कल्की शरीरा जय जगदीश हरे
म्लेच्छनिवहमिदने कलयसि करवालम् धूमकेतुमिव किमपि करालम् केशवधृता कल्की शरीरा जय जगदीश हरे
श्री जयदेव कवेर्युदितमुदारम् शृणु सुखदां शुभदां भवसाराम् केशवधृता दशविधरूपा जय जगदीश हरे
श्री जयदेव कवेरिदम् उदितमुदारम् शृणु शुकदां शुभदां भवसारम् केशवधृता दशविधरूपा जय जगदीश हरे
Back to number 5. Challayasi vikramane bhalimarbutavamana paranakani janita janna pavana keshavadrita vamana rupa jai jagadish hare Challayasi vikramane
bhalimarbutavamana padanakaniranita janapavana keshavadrita vamanarupa jai jagadish hare
Challayasi vikramane bhalimarbutavamana paranakaniranita janna pavana keshavadrita vamana rupa jai jagadish hare
Challayasi vikramane bhalimarbutavamana padanakaniranita janapavana keshavadrita vamanarupa jai jagadish hare
One more time. Challayasi vikramane bhalimarbutavamana paranakaniranita janna pavana keshavadrita vamana rupa jai jagadish hare
Ramane bhalimarbutavamana padanakaniranita janapavana keshavadrita Vamanarupa Jai Jagadisha Hari.
So now we'll do this number 12. Nana Vedandudharate Jaganti Vahate Bhugolam Udbibrate
Vedan Udarate Jaganti Vahate Bhugolam Udbibrate
Daitam dharayate balim jalayate kshatrakshayam gurvate
Daityam Dharayate Balim Chalayate Shatrakshayam Purvate
Olastam jayate halam kalayate karunyam atanvate
Olasyam Jayate Halam Kalayate Karunyamatanvate
Mlechan murchayate dashakriti krite Krishnaya tubhyam namah
Mlechan Murchayate Dashakriti Krite Krishnaya Tubhyam Namaha.
Shri Dasavastar Stotra ki jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashthabhut. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Shotara Shata Shishimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashotara Shata Shishimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Premsgo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kundi Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadip Dham ki jai. Mathura Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Yamunamayi ki jai. Gangamayi ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to some devotees. All glories to some devotees. All glories to some devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashthabhut Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I guess maybe we should read this translation real quick. Sorry. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a fish, all glories to you. You easily acted as a boat in the form of a giant fish to give protection to the Vedas, which had sunk in the turbulent sea of devastation. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a tortoise, all glories to you. The great mountain Mandara rests upon your gigantic back, which acts as a pivot for churning the ocean of milk, and which has thus been marked with a large circular scar-like depression. In this way your back has become most glorious. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a boar, all glories to you. The earth, which had sunk to the bottom of the Garbha ocean, sits fixed upon the tip of your tusk like a spot upon the moon. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a half man, half lion, all glories to you. With wonderfully sharp nails on your beautiful lotus hands, you have ripped apart the wasp-like body of Hiranyakashipu. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of a wonderful dwarf Brahmana, all glories to you. With your massive steps you deceive King Bali, and with the Ganges water emanating from the nails of your lotus feet, you deliver all living beings in this world. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Bhrigupati, Parashurama, all glories to you. You bathe the earth in the rivers of blood from the bodies of the demoniac Kshatriyas who you have slain. In this way you wash away the sins of the world and give relief to those who suffer in material existence. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Ramachandra, all glories to you. In the battle of Lanka, you destroy the 10-headed demon Ravana and distribute his heads as a delightful offering to the presiding deities of the 10 directions, a feat long desired by them, whom that monster had much harassed. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of plow-wielding Balaram, all glories to you. On your brilliant white body you wear garments colored like a fresh rain cloud, and the river Yamuna, whom you frighten with the blows of your plow. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Buddha, all glories to you. Your heart filled with compassion, you decry animal slaughter performed according to the scriptural rules of Vedic sacrifice. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Kalki, all glories to you. Like a comet bearing an indescribably terrifying sword, you annihilate the wicked barbarian kings at the end of Kali Yuga. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed these 10 different incarnations, all glories to you. O readers, please hear this most excellent hymn by poet Jayadev, for it bestows happiness and good fortune and is the best thing in this dark world. O Lord Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you, who incarnate in these 10 forms. In the form of Matsya, you rescue the Vedas. As Kurma, you bear Mount Mandara on your back. As Varaha, you lift the earth on your tusk. As Narasingha, you tear open the chest of the demon Hiranyakashipu. As Vamana, you trick King Bali. As Parashurama, you slay all the wicked Kshatriyas. As Ramachandra, you defeat Ravana, the son of Pulastya. As Balaram, you carry a plow. As Lord Buddha, you show compassion toward all. And as Kalki, you kill the Malechas. Okay, so now we'll read Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 16, verse 20. Padar Nyunam Shochasi Maika Padam Atmanam Va Vishalar Bokshamanam Aho Suradin Hrita Yagya Bhagan Praja Uta Sven Maghavati Avarshati Padanyunam Shochasi Maika Padam Atmanam Vavrishalar Bokshamanam Aho Suradin Hritayagya Bhagan प्रजा उतस्मिन्मघवत्यवर्षति पादार्न्यूनं शोचसि मैकपादम् आत्मानं वा वृषलार्बोक्ष्यमानम् आहो सुरादीन् हृतयज्ञभागान् प्रजा उतस्मिन्मघवत्यवर्षति पादार्न्यूनं शोचसि मैकपादम् आत्मानं वा वृषलार्भोक्ष्यमानम् आहो सुरादीन् हृतयज्ञभागान् प्रजा उतस्मिन्मघवत्यवर्षति Hare Krishna.
Padarnigunang shochasi maikapadam.
Padarnyunam shocasi maikapadam.
Atmanang varishalarbokshamanam.
Atmanam varishalarbokshamanam.
Aho suradin hita yagya bhagan.
Aho suradin hritayagya bhagan.
Praja utasmin magavatya varshati.
Praja utasmin maghavatya varshati.
Padarnyunam shochasi maikapadam.
Padarnyunam shocasi maikapadam.
Atmanam vavrishalerbhokshamanam.
Atmanam vavrishalairbokshamanam.
Aho suradin hritayagya bhagan.
Aho suradin hritayagya bhagan.
Praja utasmin magavatya varshati.
Praja utasmin maghavatya varshati.
Padarnyunam shochasi maikapadam.
Padarnyunam shocasi maikapadam.
Atmanam vavrishalar bokshamanam.
Atmanam vavrishalairbokshamanam.
Aho suradin hritayagya bhagan.
Aho suradin hritayagya bhagan.
Praja utasvin magavatya varshati.
Praja utasmin maghavatya varshati.
Padarnyunam shocasi maikapadam.
Padarnyunam shocasi maikapadam.
Atmanam vavrishalarbhokshamanam.
Atmanam vavrishalairbokshamanam.
Aho suradin hritayagya bhagan.
Aho suradin hritayagya bhagan.
Praja utasvin magavatya varshati.
Praja utasmin maghavatya varshati.
Padarnyunam shochasi maikapadam.
Avadarnyunam shocasi maikapadam.
Atmanam vavrishalerbhokshamanam.
Atmanam vavrishalairbokshamanam.
Aho suradin hritayagya bhagan.
Aho suradin hritayagya bhagan.
Praja utasvin magavatya varshati.
Praja utasmin maghavatya varshati. Hare Krishna.
Padirnayum nakashimake padam.
Padarnyunam shocasi maikapadam.
Atmanam vavrishale bhakashayamanam.
Atmanam vavrishalar bhokshamanam.
Aho Shradin Hritayana Bhagan
Aho suradi dhritayagya bhagan.
Prajayutashvan Magavatya Avarsati
Praja utasvin magavatya varshati.
Padarnyunam shochasi maikapadam
Padarnyunam shochasi maikapadam.
Atmanam vavrishalar bhokshamhanam
Atman vrishalar bhokshamanam.
Aho suradin hritayagya bhagan
Aho suradin yagya padan.
Praja utasmin bhagavatya varshati
Praja utasvin magavatya varshati. You can ask. Anyone online? Okay. Padaihi, by 3 legs. Nyunam, diminished. Shochasi, if you are lamenting for that. Ma, my. Ekapadam, only 1 leg. Atmanam, Shyamanam, to be exploited. Ahoho, in sacrifice. Did I miss a line here? Vrishalahi, by the unlawful meat eaters. Suradin, the authorized demigods. Hritayagya, devoid of sacrificial. Bhagan, share. Prajaha, the living beings. Uta, increasing. Svit, weather. Maghavati, in famine and scarcity. Avarshati, because of rainlessness. Translation and purport given by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I have lost my 3 legs and am now standing on 1 only. Are you lamenting for my state of existence? Or are you in great anxiety because henceforth the unlawful meat eaters will exploit you? Or are you in a sorry plight because the demigods are now bereft of their share of sacrificial offerings because no sacrifices are being performed at present? Or are you grieving for living beings because of their sufferings due to famine and drought? Purport. With the progress of the age of Kali, 4 things particularly, namely the duration of life, mercy, the power of recollection, and moral or religious principles will gradually diminish. Since Dharma, or the principles of religion, would be lost in the proportion of 3 out of 4, the symbolic bull was standing on 1 leg only. When 3/4 of the population of the whole world become irreligious, the situation is converted into hell for the animals. In the age of Kali, godless civilizations will create so many so-called religious societies in which the personality of Godhead will be directly or indirectly defied. And thus faithless societies of men will make the world uninhabitable for the saner section of people. There are gradations of human beings in terms of proportionate faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The first-class faithful men are the Vaishnavas and the Brahmanas, then the Kshatriyas, then the Vaishyas, then the Shudras, then the Malechas, and the Yavanas, or the Yavanas, and at last the Chandalas. The degradation of the human instinct begins from the Malechas, and the Chandala state of life is the last word in human degradation. All the above terms mentioned in the Vedic literatures are never meant for any particular community or birth. They are different qualifications of human beings in general. There is no question of birthright or community. One can acquire the respective qualifications by one's own efforts, and thus the son of a Vaishnava can become a Mlecha, and the son of a Chandala can become more than a Brahmana. All in terms of their association and intimate relation with the Supreme Lord. The meat eaters are generally called Mlechas, but all meat eaters are not Mlechas. Those who accept meat in terms of scriptural injunctions are not Mlechas, but those who accept meat without restriction are called Mlechas. Beef is forbidden in the scriptures, and the bulls and cows are offered special protection by followers of the Vedas, but in this age of Kali, people will exploit the body of the bull and the cow as they like, and thus they will invite sufferings of various types. The people of this age will not perform any sacrifice. The Mlecha population will care very little for performances of sacrifices, although performance of sacrifice is essential for persons who are materially engaged in sense enjoyment. In the Bhagavad Gita, performance of sacrifices is strongly recommended. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text 14 through 16. The living beings are created by the Creator Brahma, and just to maintain the created living being progressively towards the path back to Godhead, the system of performing sacrifice is also created by Him. The system is that living beings live on the produce of grains and vegetables, and by eating such foodstuff they get vital power of the body in the shape of blood and semen. And from blood and semen, one living being is able to create other living beings. But the production of grains, grass, etc. becomes possible by rain, and this rain is made to shower properly by performance of recommended sacrifices. Such sacrifices are directed by the rites of the Vedas, namely Sama, Yajur, Rig, and Atharva. In the Manusmriti, it is recommended that by offerings of sacrifice on the altar of the fire, the sun god is pleased. When the sun god is pleased, he properly collects water from the sea, and thus sufficient clouds collect on the horizon and rains fall. After sufficient rains fall, there is sufficient production of grains for men and all animals, and thus there is energy in the living being for progressive activity. The Mlechas, however, make plans to install slaughterhouses for killing bulls and cows along with other animals, thinking that they will prosper by increasing the number of factories and live on animal food without caring for performance of sacrifices and production of grains. But they must know that even for the animals they must produce grass and vegetables, otherwise the animals cannot live. And to produce grass for the animals, they require sufficient rains. Therefore, they have to depend ultimately on the mercy of the demigods, like the sun god, Indra, and Chandra. And such demigods must be satisfied by performances of sacrifice. This material world is a sort of prison house, as we have several times mentioned. The demigods are the servants of the Lord who see to the proper upkeep of the prison house. These demigods want to see that the rebel living beings who want to survive faithlessly are gradually turned towards the supreme power of the Lord. Therefore, the system of offering sacrifice is recommended in the scriptures. The materialistic men want to work hard and enjoy fruitive results for sense enjoyment. Thus, they are committing many types of sins at every step of life. Those, however, who are consciously engaged in the devotional service of the Lord are transcendental to all varieties of sin and virtue. Their activities are free from the contamination of the three modes of material nature. For the devotees, there is no need for performance of prescribed sacrifices, because the very life of the devotee is a symbol of sacrifice. But persons who are engaged in fruitive activities for sense enjoyment must perform the prescribed sacrifices, because that is the only means to get free from the reaction of all sins committed by fruitive workers. Sacrifice is the means for counteracting such accumulated sins. The demigods are pleased when such sacrifices are performed, just as prison officers are satisfied when the prisoners are turned into obedient subjects. Lord Chaitanya, however, has recommended only one yajna or sacrifice called Sankirtan Yajna, the chanting of Hare Krishna, in which everyone can take part. Thus, both devotees and fruitive workers can derive equal benefit from the performances of Sankirtan Yajna. So, there's not much time here, but there's a couple notes that I had that in this age, 3/4 of the population will become irreligious. And this is going to create hell for the animals. They're also going to create faithless, so-called religious societies. Actually, they have no faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but still, we see there are different groups of persons. And indirectly or directly, they actually defy Krishna. They defy the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, which are his direct instructions for humankind, and give the process for elevation. But these societies actually defy the Lord and his position. More or less, these are the cheating religions which are kicked out by Srimad Bhagavatam. That real religion is that religion which helps one develop love for God, as is also stated in Bhagavatam, Canto 1, 2nd chapter. So, the first class faithful men are the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas, and from their society is have gradations of degradation. And those who are in the Vedic system and still performing prescribed duties are from Brahmana to Shudra. Then comes the Mlechas and the Yavanas, or the Yavanas and the Chandalas, which are the most degraded of fellows, completely bereft of any control, live like animals. Whatever the heck I want to do, I do it. So, Prabhupada points out that there are persons who eat meat and are in the Vedic system, and they're not considered as Mlechas. Mlecha is one who's outside of that religious process. So they offer sacrifice in a regulated way, and they consume flesh. Then, this Bhagavad Gita reference that Prabhupada makes is nice. It's anad bhavanti bhutani, that these grains are feeding all the living entities. And these rains are produced by performance of sacrifice, which is given in the prescribed duties, which are actually described in the Vedas. So if we want to actually receive material facilities, even for sense gratification, which we know is not the point of following our duties, even if we do want it for sense gratification, we have to depend on this process of sacrifice. So that Prabhupada makes this really nice paragraph, and it becomes very clear that even the materialist person who wants to enjoy this material world gets benefit out of this Vedic system. But they're so degraded, or we are so degraded, that we are actually completely whimsical. And we don't even practice this system, which is for our own benefit, even according to our lower level desires to enjoy materially. We would get benefit if we were doing the yagyas. Nice rains, healthy land, healthy food, healthy body, better sex life. Right? But still, we don't care for it. And this prison house is actually governed by these demigods, and they're using this system to somehow move us in that direction towards faith in the Supreme Lord. And devotees don't need to practice this system because we have the topmost yagya, which is the Sankirtan yagya, that in this age of Kali, those with sufficient intelligence will worship the Supreme Lord and His associates by practice of the Sankirtan yagya. And when we do that, we achieve all the benefits which were derived from all these ritualistic performances. So to hell with these ritualistic performances, to hell with my birth as in the Brahmana family, for I have not developed loving devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is actually the position. If we chant this Sankirtan, if we perform this Sankirtan Yagya, the karmis will enjoy better anyway. They should also support us, even if they're actually interested in material sense gratification. They just don't understand hardly anything, just how to enjoy this body. So this educated class of men, we are going to them and we are asking them, please support this movement. This movement is going to save human society. This is going to save the earth. This is going to nourish the earth. This is going to nourish all creatures. This is the science I can explain to you. Please support this movement. Please take this book, apply your intelligence, consider this very thoroughly, and your life will become perfect. So, these are pleas to the godless persons, and we ourselves can go deeper and deeper into the Sankirtan Yagya. Small comment, today is the appearance of Lord Vamanadev, and in that pastime, Bali Maharaj, who is one of the Mahajans, receives the impetus to perform Atma Nivedanam in the highest order. He practiced one of the 9 processes of devotional service, Bali Maharaj, in perfection. And he's actually glorified in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu as being the prime example for Atma Nivedanam, which Rupa Goswami says is actually very difficult to achieve perfection in this way. That hardly you can find somebody who has surrendered everything. Of course, in this movement, people are doing it. So this is actually the mercy of Bali Maharaj and Lord Vamanadev, that we are having examples of so many people who have given everything to Krishna, given everything to the Sankirtan Yagya, and more we should meditate on this full surrender. Whatever I have, manasa deho gehu jo kichu more, arpilun tua pade nanda kishore. Whatever is mine, right? Manasa, mind, body, household, my home, my family. Jo kichu more. Whatever actually may be mine, I actually surrender that unto you, darling son, unto the darling son of Nanda Maharaj. Right? So this is actually the mood of Atma Nivedanam. Whatever is mine, I give it all. All my property and my very self. Offer our heads to Lord Vamanadev to stand right on them. You know? And how do we do that? We go through our Srila Prabhupada. We go through the devotees. Hari Guru Vaishnava. We're actually desiring to serve the devotee and Hari. They go together. So we always have to remember that. That's what it looks like. It's not that I become fully surrendered to Krishna and I don't listen to any of the devotees or I don't actually do anything that the spiritual master says. They go together, side by side. So, thank you, devotees. Maybe there can be some comment, question. Prabhuji, Bhakti Jio.
So in the purport, it was saying that we must give some effort in order to because with effort we can come from Chandala to higher than a Brahmana. But what's the difference between effort and relying on our own strength?
Great question. Effort, essentially, you have a certain amount of vital energy at your disposal. You decide where that is directed. When you come in contact with this pure devotional movement, with the spiritual master, you're given the freedom to choose where you spend your time and your energy. Whereas a person who has no contact with devotional service, they're completely under the modes. But as soon as you come in contact with this transcendental knowledge and the spiritual master, you're given the chance to choose. I will use my vital force, my energy, which has been given to me by Krishna, to actually serve him according to the instructions. So, what is it? Energy flows where attention goes. We place our attention on Krishna's instructions, Srila Prabhupada's instructions, essentially the activities of this Krishna consciousness movement, Sankirtan Yajna. If we place our attention there, then our energy will be moving in that direction. That's called effort. The more we're actually, our energy or our attention is on other things called Maya, then we will not be using all our efforts. Some will be reserved and we'll be thinking about that and it'll be sucking our energy. So time and energy. Attention, energy flows where attention goes. That if you place your attention on something again and again, then your energy will move in that direction. Your mind will be there, your speech will be there, your actions will be there. So the difference between that and is that every step of the way, we know I can't even think without Krishna. I can't move without Krishna. I can't speak without Krishna. So it's all about, we are desiring to place ourselves within his plan, his will. Not my will, but thy will. And as we desire that, we get that desire from the spiritual master who has that desire. So we desire that more and more, then our attention is moving in that direction. Then our speech, our mind, actions are moving it in the direction of Krishna consciousness. And eventually we'll become completely free from all contamination. Okay. Thank you, devotees, very much. Please forgive me for going too much over. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees.